Hi, my name is Nnamdi Ezema, and I'm a business analyst here at Associated Terminals. Now, you guys have learned a lot of cool stuff today. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about global shipping. The maritime transport is the backbone of global trade and the global economy. The international shipping industry is responsible for the transport of around 90% of world trade. Without shipping, the bulk transport of raw materials and the import and export of affordable food, manufactured goods, and other products would not be possible. No country is entirely self-sufficient, and every country relies on maritime trade to sell what it makes and to buy what it needs. Much of what we use or consume in our everyday lives either has been or will be transported by sea in the form of raw materials, components, or finished articles. Over 10.7 billion tons of cargo are imported and exported annually via ocean vessels worldwide. This map shows many of the ports that are important for global trade and the maritime industry. The Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, for example, is the central point of transport between Asia and Europe. So many of the cargoes and goods that go from Asia or to Asia from Europe have to pass through the Cape of Good Hope. For the Panama Canal in Central America, of all the cargoes that travel through there, 62% of that either originated from the US or will be transported to the US. There are over 55,000 merchant ships trading internationally, transporting every kind of cargo. The world fleet is registered in over 150 nations. On average, a container ship travels a distance equivalent of 75% of the way to the moon and back, and that's in a single year. The world's largest container ships can carry a staggering amount of cargo. A modern container ship, for example, can hold up to 745 million bananas. To put that in perspective, that's roughly one banana for every person in Europe and North America. Let's talk about the transportation of goods. An import or export will be transported from its point of origin via rail, truck, or barge to a port where it will be loaded onto an ocean-going vessel. The ocean-going vessel will follow established maritime shipping routes. The ship will travel to a port which is near the final destination for the product, where it will then be transported via rail, truck, or barge. In the US, 500 million tons are either imported or exported through the Mississippi River. And for the country, there are over 3 billion tons that will be imported or exported via ocean-going vessels. Now we're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite things in the world, ice cream, and specifically Ben & Jerry's ice cream. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite things in the whole world, ice cream, specifically Ben & Jerry's. My favorite flavor has to be Chunky Monkey, right? Like, is there even any other flavor? What about you? What's your favorite flavor? So when you get to the ice cream aisle and you're looking for some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, have you ever asked yourself, where do all the ingredients to give me this pint of ice cream come from? Well, let's do a quick little research project. Ben & Jerry's produces ice cream in several different countries, such as Israel and the Netherlands. Their first factory and their main factory is the one in Vermont. But they get their ingredients from all over the world. And those little ingredients have to be imported by ocean-going vessels or by truck or rail to their factory in Vermont. Let's start from the outside and work our way in. What about the paper that makes the pint? Where do you think that paper comes from? Would you be surprised if I told you it came from Canada and it has to be transported by truck or rail to their Vermont factory? What about the coffee flavored ice creams? Where do you think the coffee and that raw material comes from? Or if I told you it had to be transported by ship from Mexico up to the New York port and then by truck to their Vermont factory? What about the sugar that's in that ice cream that gives it that sweet, sweet flavor? Where do you think that came from? Well, that came from Belize and had to travel through the Panama Canal to the New York port and then be transported to the Vermont factory. Same thing with the bananas. Where do you think those bananas came from? Well, those were imported from Ecuador. And the list goes on. What about the vanilla flavor that's in so many different ice creams? Where do you think the raw vanilla came from? And how do you think it got to their Vermont factory? Well, that had to be imported from Madagascar and Uganda and likely traveled through the port of Cape Hope on its way to the New York port to then be transported to their Vermont factory. What about the milk, the most important ingredient in making ice cream? Where do you think they got their milk from? Likely, some of it was made here in the US and had to be transported to Vermont via truck or rail. But some of it was also transported from the Netherlands and had to be transported by ships from Europe to New York and then by truck to their Vermont factory. So you see, even the simplest things that we find in our grocery stores come from all over the world. And maritime just plays a very key role in our everyday lives. I hope you enjoyed the rest of this presentation and that you've learned so much today.